Hello and welcome to another episode of the wonderful world of old sheet music. Today I am going to be talking about and playing a piece called Narcissus by Ethelbert Nevin. This is another local PA composer close to where I live. He was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This piece was published in 1891. So it is pretty old. This edition, you can tell, is pretty old. And I'll show you this a little bit more in a minute. Some interesting things about this composer, Ethelbert Nevin. I looked up some things about him. His father was also a composer. It turns out he ended up composing campaign songs for James K. Polk's presidential campaign. And his mother was a pianist as well. There's kind of this urban legend I found online that his mother was the first grand piano that was moved across the Allegheny Mountains to Pittsburgh. So apocryphal, but sounds cool, makes a cool story. Anyway, Ethelbert Nevin himself grew up in a musical family then. He ended up studying in Paris and then in Boston. Came back to Pittsburgh for a brief time, and then he ended up going back to Boston, and that's where he died. So this particular edition is published by the Boston Music Company. So it does have that here on the back. I have a review here in the top of this, so I'll read that for you. It says, this is a review by Rupert Hughes, who is another composer who worked at the Boston Music Company. Nevin's songs have lyrical contour, lyrical impulse. They come forward in graceful curves like waves. And when they reach their destination, they rise to their climax and make a beautiful end. If you feel in a man's work a quality which you can only define by making an adjective of his name, then his work has that individuality without which no genius, however infinite his pains, could hold his own through the rush of time. Yes, I think we may call Ethelbert Nevin a great composer of great songs. That's Rupert Hughes. And it is, if you read the back here, it does actually use his name, Nevin Songs, Nevin Piano Pieces, Nevin Organ Pieces. So he's pretty prolific. And sure enough, if you read online, his most famous and popular piece was called Narcissus, which is the one I have here. The other thing I think is cool, which you wouldn't know unless you had been there, this picture is another famous place in Pennsylvania. It is Longwood Gardens in Philadelphia area. You can tell by the fountain and that fountain too. So maybe that's what it looked like in 1891. So now I'll play for you, and this is Narcissus by Ethelbert Nevin. So if you've been watching some of my other ones so far, this piece is definitely more musical from a compositional standpoint. Clearly he was more educated than some of the other composers I've played from. There's a lot of diatonic key changes, especially on the second page, if you were paying attention and you know what that means. It means he changes keys like every other measure, basically. And even though it's the same sound, they're just kind of working his way through different keys to give it more variety. And it does kind of have one main theme that you can hear the... So it has more of a compositional mindset to it than some of the other pieces I've played. So clearly he had been educated in music. So Narcissus by Ethelbert Nevin. See you next time.